it's Ina the Mood Reader, and today we'll be talking about my top 15 books of 2021. So I've noticed I didn't do a best books of 2021 video, so I'm rushing this January just to let you know, just to share with you the books I enjoyed reading for the year that was 2021. Just a disclaimer, there might be some noise, you might hear some noise. I have my little cousin playing and she likes screaming, so you might hear that. Don't worry, she's supervised and all that. Another disclaimer, I tried ranking these titles. I tried choosing less titles, but going back on the 130 books I've read, I just loved all of these books so much. And I just want to share them all with you. So this would be like me sharing to you books I've enjoyed, but also a test of what I remember about the books. So yeah, I also looking back, most of these books I read on Kindle and on audiobook, some of them physical, but I'm too tired to dig up my library here, my shelf, so I'll just put the photo of the cover of the book here. I might also link in the description box their Goodreads page so that you can see deeper details about the books. So I just did an alphabetical order based on the title, including articles. So yeah, let's just do it. So the first book that I really loved in 2021 was Amelia Anabridged by Ashley Schumacher. So this is a young adult book. It's a contemporary romance. And the themes that I loved discussed in the book are grief, family, friendship, of course there's romance, the future, and connections we make with people. So basically there's this reader, super fan of this young author, like a prodigy, a genius, someone who's been successful so young, writing a series, and she just loves it so much that she shares it with her friend. Something happened to her friend. She passed away without them being successful on the goal of them meeting the author. Only the one who passed away was able to, and something happened that made her, that let's just fast forward, they actually meet her and the author. They make this good connection. They both have hard experiences in their lives, and through those grief, through those connections, they actually fall in love with each other. And yeah, I really loved it. It was a cover pick. It was an art that was sent to me and that I was so happy about because it was a cover pick. It was a Wednesday Books title, which usually has a good record on my taste. But yeah, I really love this one so much, and I recommended it to my book clubs. Yeah, that's it. The next book I loved is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Minsborough, if I remember it correctly. This is a thriller, a book turned into a limited series on Netflix, and I loved it so much. This one, if you're a fan of plot twist, if you're a fan of like mystery and something shocking, this is a book that you would definitely like. I actually listened to the audiobook while I was reading a Kindle copy, and I was watching the series at the same time. Like I read at night and I watch it during the day, and the adaptation was very near what the author was writing about, so it added to the experience. And I think I also recommend the Netflix series to you if you want to watch it. I also recommend the audiobook because it was so amazing and I just loved it. I don't wanna dive into the book too much, but basically there's this couple and somebody from the outside, a girl, and their lives would be intertwined, and there's also a dark past with another person. Something shady about the guy here, but also something shady about the girl. So it was a roller coaster. You don't know who you would trust, and that's for me one of the best parts of a thriller. Next, I loved The next book I loved is Boyfriend Material. It's a romance book. It's an romance. I think it's adult, contemporary. I love this because I just really adored the writing style of the author. I love the characters. I love the banter. It was a really cute story. Right now, I'm trying to remember what it is about, but if I'm not mistaken, they were fake dating here, and that fake dating turned real. One of them, or if not the both of them, had commitment issues. But yeah, what made this book amazing was the personality of each character. I think it's kind of grumpy sunshine, and it's really cute. I recommend. The next book, number 4, is Educated by Tara Westover. This is I think the only nonfiction book here in my list. I read it because of the Talk Bookish to Me PH book club, and I was stunned. First of all, Tara's story is amazing. It's one of the best books I've read for 2021 because it changed my mind about the nonfiction I read. I think you can find hidden gems, particularly in memoirs, in biographies, seeing lives of extraordinary people who went through extremely unique, sometimes scary life experiences, and the learning they got from it, and how they got out of like toxic, crazy experiences. So there, I really love Educated, and the audiobook is also good. So if you're if you would like to dabble on nonfiction, it's something I do recommend. The next one on the list, our number 5 pick, is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I read this one because of Gerald the Bookworm. He told in one of his video how much he loved this thriller, and Gerald was right. Again, it was one of those books with plot twist after plot twist, and it just kept me guessing what would happen. I think it's being optioned for a film. The film might be filming already, I'm not sure, but yeah, the way I read it's really atmospheric. It's immersive. You feel like you're really there in the situation. It was written like a movie, like a film, so it's perfect to be translated into the big screen. So yeah, there's basically there's this like winter storm, and in this pit stop, I think, I forgot already the specific term, a woman goes in. There are strangers in there. She's uncomfortable, but they're stuck because of the weather. And then when she goes outside, I think, to try to make a call, she sees that at the back of one of those cars there's a child captured inside a cage, I think. And that makes her wonder who did it, who among those 4, I think, strangers inside did it. And that's where the story would evolve. This one is action packed. There are graphic descriptions of like injuries, of violence, so it was intense, but I'm sure it's going to be an amazing movie. So there. The next pick, number 6, is Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. This is a young adult contemporary romance. It tackles LGBT plus themes, and yeah, it's, aside from it being a very cute romance, I loved how it tackled bisexuality, misconceptions about bisexuality. I also like how sex positive the book is, because our main character gives advice to other teen people. Think sex education, but not just sex, like their gender, their identity, their relationships that they have. So she is actually earning through this advice thing that she does. But as you know, things can get complicated, especially when you're young and when money is involved and when you're still in school and there are rules in school. So all of that are part of the book, but also the dynamics, the character development. I love the way Sophie Gonzalez writes. And yeah, Again, I love the romance, but there's so much more here on the book, and it deserves really the spot on one of the best books of 2021. Okay, so the next book is Six Crimson Cranes. Six Crimson Cranes, I remember I wrote on my review for this book that it's a contender, strong contender for my favorite book of the year, if not my favorite fantasy, and it turned out it's actually my favorite fantasy of the year. So Six Crimson Cranes, it was a fantasy, but it was very easy for me to read. My brain cells were able to handle it perfectly. I wasn't too overwhelmed with it. And it's about a princess, so it has this fairy tale vibe. There's magic. It's a retelling of a Japanese, I think, mythology about cranes. So yeah, basically there's this arranged marriage for the princess, and then she was exiled, and for the love of her family, she's trying to go back to get the crown back. And yeah, there's a lot of magic here. There's dragons, quests. It was so fun. It was quite the adventure. It's very easy to read. I wasn't stuck. I wasn't struggling to get engaged with the book, and that's why I loved it. So there. Next, we have another romance, an adult romance, contemporary. It's Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. I am such a fan of the fan fiction culture, like how fandoms create their own version of love stories, like character relationships, character journeys way beyond after the story has ended, whether it be a movie or like a book or a TV show. So many creative people create amazing worlds about it, and that's what Spoiler Alert is about. There are two fanfiction writers creating content, creating amazing stories about this Game of Thrones-ish story, and little did the girl know that the male fanfiction writer is actually a star of the show who is uncomfortable about how his character is portrayed as, and he has his own reimagining of how it should be, and that's what he is writing about. And it's a romance involving two of them when suddenly a Twitter thing happened and they had to meet and all of that, and I loved it so much. It was so good. And yeah, Olivia Dade is one of my favorite romance writers ever, especially for body positivity, and this book actually has a plus size heroine, so I loved all of that. The next is a middle grade book, and I also mentioned how much I adored this book. We did a live show for this book with Kat from Her Bookish Side on her book club for middle grade. It's Sugar and Spite by Gail D. Villanueva. It's a middle grade book with Filipino culture, Filipino characters. It features pets, it features magic, and it's also very heartwarming. I wasn't expecting that Gail would bring the story into where she took it, but she did break my heart. And yeah, it's a story I would carry with me for a very long time, and I loved all the characters. I loved the book. It's something I know I would have comfort in if I do reread it, and yeah, it's just so good, and you should get a copy of it. The next one is a historical romance. It's The Duke Who Didn't by Courtney Milan. This one, the main reason why I loved it is because I read a lot of historical romance, and you know how most of it is in the Regency times, the Victorian era. It's basically mostly white. But this one, the Duke is Asian, I think Chinese, and there's this community here, like I know there are historical fiction revolving around Asian characters, like with emperors and dynasties, but this one, it's a Regency-ish because we have a duke who is Asian and a community who are Asians too. And I just loved everything about the way the author wrote the book. The romance was good. There's culture in it, food, the banter. It was very light, and it's actually a great escapism book. There's not too much conflict here. What was supposedly a conflict for one of the main characters actually it's not a conflict for everybody else. It's very, very light and exciting. So yeah, there. It's very, very chill and relaxing, and I love it. Next we have The Holiday Switch by Tiff Marcelo. This is a Filipino written romance, holiday contemporary young adult romance by a Filipino author with Filipino characters. So that alone is enough to make me love it. But what something that I loved more with it is it has Christmas vibes, holiday vibes. It's set in a small town, and we have like a dislike to lovers kind of thing. I love the Filipino representation here. The main character is a book blogger, a book reviewer, so there's so much for me to love about this book. And it's really, really beautifully written, and it feels like a funny, light romance movie for young adults. So I loved it. And then next we have, I think this is the 12th book, The Roommate by Rosie Danan. It was one of my first reads of 2021, and the reason why it became my favorite is that it braved on touching a kind of taboo topic, which is the adult industry, like adult entertainment industry, or basically the sex industry. We have here a main character who is prim and proper, how do you call this? Traditional, and she meets this like porn industry superstar, and they develop a romance because they became roommates. And aside from the romance part of this book is very sex positive. It clears up the industry. It tries to make the industry a better place. Of course, it tackled the bad parts of the industry, and there are people trying to make it right. And it also talks about feminism, the way women should like own up their sexuality, understand that their pleasure matters too, and all that. So yeah, that's a great book. Though I read it January 2021, it's still something I appreciate. And yeah. And the 13th book I chose is The Surprising Power of a Good Dumpling by White Chim. It's like its title, it's a book that surprised me. I picked it on a whim for Asian Readathon, and it's a young adult contemporary book that I was expecting a cute romance, but it brought me someplace else. There was a lot of things here, again, about grief, about family, about your future, your responsibility. It's a coming of age story, and I just loved everything about it. And the author brought it to a place that wasn't preachy. I appreciated how the characters developed, how the story developed. It felt like something complete, and it left lessons for me, life lessons that I would cherish in the long run. The 14th book I have is a sci-fi book. It's Want by Cindy Pon. It's part of a duology, but I'm a solid fan of the first book. I think it's a complete book in itself, and it's amazing. I just heard that it's being optioned for a series, and I'm so happy about it because it's just so beautiful. I even made a solo video for this book here on my YouTube channel, on my booktube channel. I just loved it so much, and I recommend it to a lot of people. I just loved Want. It's a science fiction book set in like a futuristic Taipei, where there's pollution, there's this people die, and there's this billionaire company creating this somewhat PPEs, protective suits, where you can get cleaner air, so there's lesser chances for you to get sick. And it discusses like the social class differences and how that affects the healthcare you get, like the life you get to enjoy. And we have a group of misfits, like found family here, that are aiming to break that, to change that, and to help the community, like the entire Taipei, to help people receive what they deserve regardless of how much they are earning. But aside from that political climate fiction, like the environmental themes this book discusses, It was an immersive read. The author really brought me to Taiwanese culture. I got to know the country. I felt like I was there. And yeah, I love the characters. The characters are amazing. I love the romance aspect here. I love the friendship aspect. The found family is just perfect. It's a great, great book, and I hope the adaptation would do it justice. Okay, and finally we're down to the last book. It's Written in the Stars by Alexandra Bellefleur. It's a sapphic romance. I think it's an adult romance, contemporary. I love that it involves astrology, but it became my favorite because it exceeded my expectations. I just was expecting like a fun, flirty romance between two women, but what I got instead was a stunning love story. I just loved the dynamics, the banter, the writing style of the author, and also I listened to this one on audio, and I have to say that this book made me blush. Take from that what you will, but it was amazing, and I loved every bit of it. I would like to dive more into this world because I know that this is a series and the author has created companion novels for other characters that we got to know in this first book, and I'm so excited. I might read it for February or sometime for the rest of the year. So yeah, I'm so excited. I hope that the author delivers for the next few books, so I'll have a new favorite romance author. But yeah, so those are the top 15 books for my 2021. These books I adored extremely. I think these variation of genres, though it's mostly romance, made my 2021 a successful reading year. They all deserve the 5 stars that they were able to get, and I hope you guys give them a chance as well throughout your reading for the rest of the year. And if you do read them, please do reach out to me and let me know, regardless of whether you liked it or not. Yeah, so but anyway, thank you so much for watching until the end of this video. I hope I was able to recommend books that you are interested in trying out. And yeah, see you on the next ones. May you always be in the mood for reading. Bye!